Welcome to
What's Up Poland?
the daily video show
Where
we talk about
news,
views,
culture,
history,
life.
everything Poland. So, John, have you ever been to Auschwitz?
Yes, I have a very long time ago. It was for personal reasons. I wanted to go to the archives at the Auschwitz Museum and dig out the familiars of my great-great-grandmother, who unfortunately died in Auschwitz after the Warsaw Uprising. So I think she died in 1944 or beginning of
So
1945.
she was taken there directly.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. Some of the civilians from
from Warsaw,
were taken
yeah.
there, not just the soldiers. Well, I remember a particular story which interested me, which was after the end of the war, a lot of former prisoners went back and in some form lived in the camp, literally in the buildings which were formerly occupied by the SS officers and
Yeah.
staff and all the rest of it. It's quite a big complex, as you know, and ended up being tour guides and founding the museum there. Never really heard very much about the story, but this story kind of blew me away.
Yeah.
It's called The Last Prison of Auschwitz, and we're going to get onto exactly why that title comes about. And it's the remarkable story of a little girl, Anna Odie, who has actually lived in the red brick blocks of Auschwitz for over 65 years. In fact,
Auschwitz 1, though.
yes, her entire life. Now, Anna is actually the author or the main subject, or one of the main subjects, in a new book which is called The Last Prison of Auschwitz by best-selling author Nina Majewska-Brown. And it's been published actually in January on the 76th anniversary of the liberation. And it's a remarkable story. Her parents, you're going to have to click on the link below the story to find out more, got to Auschwitz literally, but survived. Just another one of these incredible stories. I'm not going to reveal too many of the ways that they got there, but they moved to the camp in 1947.
Okay.
And were actually fundamental in looking after the camp, protecting it, making sure that things weren't stolen, wood or anything like that to burn, those kind of barracks. So Anna's earliest memories are of, for example, the gallows that were used to hang Rudolf Hess in 1947. When she was asked to, at school, for example, draw a picture, she chose to draw those gallows because they were super easy to draw. And in fact, remarkably, having lived there, because her parents lived in the buildings, her best friend, for example, lived in the former camp commandant's house. She went back to work and has worked there for a very long time. As a 4-year-old girl, she would accompany her mother, who spoke fluent French, and would do tour guides and would point out the buildings that her mother was talking about. She wasn't able to understand the enormity of what happened there. So Anna is part of the subject of this book. It's called Ostatnia Więźniarka Auschwitz, so the last prison of Auschwitz. And she herself says that having lived in the complex for over 65 years, she feels like she is herself the last prison of Auschwitz. It's a title which has actually been a little bit controversial. As you know, I love my research, and I was doing some research.
And you love your controversies, don't you?
I do. And a few people have said it's not really in the best of taste to be saying that, because in fact most of the story is about her mother, and she was actually in Majdanek, Ravensbrück and Buchenwald, as well as the Pawiak in Warsaw, and her father was actually the former prisoner of Auschwitz. Still, it's a remarkable story. Mira, the mother, and Yusuf, the father, it's their story in this as well, and it's also the story of this lady who's been living and working there, as many people did, for decades, literally.
That's a really interesting story, Paddy. I mean, it's amazing how, like, I started off with a family story. Here we have a family story. How, like, Auschwitz and the camp at Auschwitz really kind of affected the lives of millions of Poles and, like, families in Poland now, still today. And not even Auschwitz, but simply all concentration camps which were on the occupied territories.
Absolutely. And we should also pay respect to Anna, because she's worked there for decades, and she still is working there and cataloguing things as well, and has been really rewarded and respected for her work as well. So I think it's a testament to the way the camp lives on now. And
Indeed.
Sometimes we worry about things being forgotten with the sad passing of the last few survivors of the camp, but I think actually their memory is quite safe in hands of people like Anna.
So what can we do? We can click on the link below to find out more.
I think that would be a good idea, because in that story you have some really remarkable James Bond style, extraordinary bravery, courage and daring. It's the story of Anna's parents, Mira and Yusuf, and it's well worth reading this story.
Fantastic. I'll check it out.